My parents demanded I lie for my violent brother. Protect the family, Dad said, or you're cut off forever. I said fine and walked upstairs. They smiled relieved, but my bags were already packed. A scholarship letter was in my inbox. Monday morning, I put one thing on the counter that made Dad's face go white. What did I show him?
My parents told me I wasn't allowed back at school until I stood in front of the entire student body and apologized to Mason for ruining his reputation. I looked at them across the dinner table and said one word, fine. Mom's face went pale. Dad stopped mid-bite, fork frozen, halfway to his mouth. Mason leaned back in his chair with that smug grin he'd perfected over 17 years of getting everything he wanted. They'd expected me to fight, to cry, to beg. I did none of those things. I just pushed my chair back, walked upstairs to my room, and closed the door quietly. Inside, I sat on the carpet and stared at the suitcases I'd already packed 3 days ago. This wasn't the first time they'd chosen him over me. When I was 14, I spent 3 weeks planning Mom's birthday party, found the caterer, designed the invitations, coordinated with relatives. Mason showed up late, drunk, and knocked over the cake table. Mom hugged him and told everyone, boys will be boys. When I was 16, I tutored Mason through algebra for an entire semester so he could pass. He copied my physics homework the next year and got caught. Told the teacher I'd pressured him into it. Dad believed him without asking me a single question. That was how it worked in our house. What finally broke everything happened 4 days before that dinner. I was walking to my car after last period when I heard shouting near the senior parking lot. By the time I got close, Mason had a sophomore named Tyler pinned against a concrete pillar. Blood was dripping from Tyler's nose onto his shirt. 2 security guards pulled Mason away. The cameras caught everything. Principal Harrison called me into his office before I even left campus. He sat behind his desk looking grim while Mason slouched in the chair next to me with red eyes like he was the victim. Tyler started it, Mason said, before anyone asked. Becca was yelling at me all morning in front of everyone. She kept saying I was worthless, that I'd never be anything. I just snapped. I pulled out my phone and showed Principal Harrison the hallway footage from that morning. 30 seconds of nothing. No argument, no confrontation, no Becca. Principal Harrison watched it twice, then slid my phone back across the desk. Mason, you're suspended for 10 days. 0 tolerance for violence. Becca, you're free to go. Mason's mouth fell open. He started protesting, voice climbing higher with every word, but Principal Harrison just pointed at the door. The news spread before I even got home. By the time I pulled into the driveway, Mason was already inside spinning his version of events. Mom met me at the front door with swollen eyes. Dad was waiting in the dining room with his sleeves rolled up like he was heading into a business meeting. They sat me down. Mason was in the corner looking small and hurt. Dad didn't waste time. You're going to school Monday morning. You'll stand on the auditorium stage and tell everyone you misunderstood what happened. You'll say Mason was defending himself after you pushed him too far. Mom's voice shook. Family comes first, Becca. You're older. You should know better. I stared at the wood grain on the table. There's video proof. Clear as day. Dad waved it away. People misinterpret things. One apology and this goes away. I looked up at him. So I'm supposed to stand in front of 3,000 students and lie. You're supposed to protect your brother. If you've ever been told to destroy your own reputation to protect someone else's, you already know what comes next. Mason finally spoke, voice thick. You always make everything about you. Just say sorry and we can all move on. I looked at him. No. Dad's face darkened. Then you're not going back to school until you do. No classes, no orchestra practice, no leadership council, nothing. Mom reached for my hand. I pulled away. Fine, I said. Keep me home. The room went dead silent. Mason's eyes widened. He hadn't expected me to call the bluff. I stood up, chair scraping loud against tile, and walked out. Upstairs, I locked my door for the first time ever. Some families call that defiance. Some call it disrespect. I called it the moment I stopped pretending their love was worth more than my future. The suitcases were already packed. I'd been packing them slowly for 2 weeks, ever since I submitted the application. One for clothes, one for everything that actually proved I existed outside this family. National Orchestra trophy, leadership medals, the framed newspaper photo of our debate team after regionals, each one wrapped in bubble wrap like evidence. I'd applied to Ashford Academy 3 weeks ago. Mrs. Chen, my guidance counselor, had called me into her office one afternoon in early August and showed me the scholarship posting. Full merit, 4 years, room, board, everything. You're exactly what they want, she'd said. And they decide fast. Some years they fill the spot in September. I'd submitted the application that same night, didn't tell anyone. The deadline was 2 weeks ago. I'd been checking my email every morning since. Emma was the only person I told. Best friend since freshman orientation. The one person who never bought the perfect family act. I texted her Friday night after dinner. It happened. They're keeping me home until I publicly lie for Mason. Her reply came fast. When's the letter coming? Maybe Monday? Maybe never? It's coming. And when it does, you're gone. I kept my door locked all weekend. Saturday morning, Mom knocked and asked if I wanted breakfast. I said no. Sunday afternoon, Dad tried the handle, found it locked, and walked away without a word. Mason didn't even try. I spent both days on my laptop, researching California emancipation laws, double-checking the scholarship terms, making lists of what I'd need and what I could leave behind. By Sunday night, I had a plan for every scenario except one, the letter not coming. Monday morning, I woke up at 5:30 to my phone buzzing. Email notification. I grabbed grabbed it off the nightstand, hands shaking. Subject, Ashford Academy Merit Scholarship Decision. I opened it, read the first line 3 times before the words sank in. Congratulations, Rebecca Chen. Full merit scholarship awarded. 4 years. Tuition, housing, board, travel stipend, and round-trip airfare. Mandatory boarding check-in. Wednesday, August 28th at 6 p.m. I sat on the edge of my bed and let myself breathe for the first time in 4 days. 2 hours later, I heard movement downstairs. Mom making breakfast, Dad pouring coffee. I got dressed, printed the acceptance letter on the printer in the hallway, and walked down with the paper in my hand. They were both in the kitchen. Mom at the stove flipping pancakes. Dad at the island reading something on his phone. Mason wasn't up yet. I walked to the counter and set the paper down between them. Mom glanced at it first. Her spatula froze mid-flip. Dad looked up from his phone, saw her face, and picked up the paper. His eyes moved across the page. I watched him read it twice. When he looked up at me, his face had gone completely blank. What is this? Ashford Academy. Full merit scholarship. 4 years. I leave Wednesday. Mom's voice came out thin. You applied to boarding school? 3 weeks ago. They just accepted me. Dad set the paper down slowly. You're 17. You can't just leave. 17 years, 7 months, and 12 days. California law says with a verified full ride, scholarship to a private boarding institution, parental consent becomes optional after 17 and a half. I checked with a lawyer. The kitchen went completely silent. Mom's pancakes started burning. She didn't move to flip them. Mason appeared in the doorway in boxers and a wrinkled shirt, clearly just woken by the silence. He looked around at all of us, then at the paper on the counter. What's going on? Dad's voice came out tight. Your sister thinks she's leaving for boarding school on Wednesday. I don't think. I am. Mason picked up the paper and read it. His face went white. You can't just leave. Watch me. Mom finally found her voice. We're not paying for this. You don't have to. Full ride. Everything's covered, even the plane ticket. Dad stood up so fast his stool scraped backward. Then you're cut off. No car, no phone, no college fund, nothing. Cars in my name. Phones on my own plan. And the college fund was never going to be mine anyway. You moved 80% of it into Mason's account 3 years ago. I saw the statements. The room went completely still. Mom made a broken sound. Mason stared at me like I'd just set the house on fire. Dad's fists clenched at his sides. If you walk out that door on Wednesday, don't ever come back. I met his eyes without blinking. That's the plan. Mason tried to laugh. It came out desperate. You're bluffing. You wouldn't leave over something this stupid. Over something this stupid? I asked. You beat up a kid on camera, got suspended, and they want me to stand in front of the whole school and say I lied about it. That's not stupid. That's who you've always been, and who they've always been. Mom stepped forward, hands reaching. Becca, please, we can talk about this. We can work something out. We can't, because you'd choose him again. You always do. When I was 14 and he ruined your birthday party, you hugged him. When I was 16 and he cheated using my homework, you believed his story without asking me once. And now, you want me to destroy my reputation to save his. I'm done. Dad pointed at me, voice low and dangerous. You are making a huge mistake. The only mistake I made was waiting this long. Mason's voice cracked. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean for it to get this bad. Just stay, please. I looked at him for a long moment. Too late. I turned and walked back upstairs. Behind me, nobody moved. Nobody called my name. The only sound was Mom crying quietly and Dad's heavy breathing. Monday afternoon, I transferred my bank account to California, forwarded my mail to the academy, called Mrs. Chen and thanked her for the recommendation. She cried a little on the phone and told me I was doing the right thing. Tuesday morning, I picked up my transcripts from the school office. Emma met me in the parking lot and we sat in her car for 20 minutes while she made me promise to call every week. I promised. Mason tried one more time Tuesday night, knocked on my door around 11. Becca, can we talk? No, I really am sorry. I know you are. Now, because I'm leaving. If I was staying, you wouldn't care. He didn't answer. I heard him walk away. Wednesday morning, I woke up at 4. The car from Ashford was coming at 7. I got dressed, checked my suitcases one last time, and sat on my bed waiting. At 6:45, Mom knocked. Becca, can I come in? I opened the door. She stood there in her bathrobe with red eyes like she'd been crying all night. I don't want you to go like this, she said. Then you shouldn't have asked me to lie. I just wanted to protect both of you. You wanted to protect him. I was just supposed to take it. She reached for my hand. I stepped back. I have to go. The car's almost here. Her voice broke. Will you call? No. I picked up my suitcases and walked past her to the stairs. Dad was waiting at the bottom, arms crossed. Mason was on the couch watching. I walked to the front door, set my suitcases down, turned around one last time. I'll send someone for the rest of my things next month. Don't call, don't text, don't show up at the school. We're done. Dad's voice came out cold. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret is not doing it sooner. The car pulled into the driveway. I grabbed my suitcases, walked out, and didn't look back. Through the window, I could see all 3 of them standing in the doorway watching me leave. The driver put my bags in the trunk. I got in the back seat. As we pulled away, I watched the house get smaller in the side mirror until it disappeared around the corner. The first 4 months at Ashford felt like getting to breathe for the first time. Classes were hard and expectations were high, but nobody expected me to apologize for taking up space. I threw myself into everything. Orchestra practice until 10 every night, student council campaigns before sunrise, mock trial, prep on weekends. When the ballots closed in November, I won student body president with 92% of the vote. Spring brought state championships. We swept every category in mock trial. I stood on stage, holding the trophy while my teammates lifted me onto their shoulders, and strangers chanted my name. Then one Thursday in March, Emma texted me. 3 messages in a row. Mason got expelled. Permanent this time. Punched another kid. 20 witnesses. County alternative next week. I stared at the screen until it went dark. dark, then went back to studying. The call started the next day. 43 missed calls over the next week. Mom left voicemails that started with tears and ended with guilt. Dad left messages that started angry and got worse. Mason left too, asking if I could just talk to him. I never listened to any of them. On day 7, I blocked every California area code in my phone. The screen went quiet. 6 years later, their numbers still don't appear. I walked across the UC Berkeley commencement lawn in May with my master's degree in policy studies. A second full scholarship had carried me through graduate school without a single dollar from them. 3 weeks after graduation, I accepted a senior policy analyst position at a think tank in San Francisco. The salary made my coworkers gasp. My name started appearing on briefing reports that landed on state senators' desks before 9:30 every morning. I bought an apartment on the 14th floor of a glass tower in Mission Bay the following spring. Signed the deed alone. Rebecca Chen. No co-signers. No emergency contacts. 8 months later, I adopted Justice from the city shelter. A brown mutt with a torn ear who didn't trust anyone. 3 treats later, he climbed into my lap and stayed. I signed the papers on the spot. Figured we understood each other. Both of us had learned that sometimes the family you're born into isn't safe, and leaving is the only way to survive. Emma still texts twice a year. Her mom stayed friends with my mom, so she hears things. Your parents got divorced 2 years ago. Your mom's in a 2-bedroom rental. Your dad works until the building closes. Mason stocks shelves at Target and lives with your mom. He games most nights. I read the messages, close them, and move on. Some colleagues ask if I'm angry. I mentor high school orchestra students every Saturday the way Mrs. Chen once stayed late for me. I run 5 miles along the Embarcadero before sunrise with Justice trotting next to me. I testify at committee hearings when asked and turn down events when I don't feel like going because my time belongs to me now. Thanksgiving passes without a text. Christmas morning, I wake up to Justice's cold nose and coffee I made myself. Birthdays come with cards from Emma and Mrs. Chen and the students I coach. No California numbers ever ring. I kept the state championship trophy on a shelf in my office. Not for memories, for proof. Proof that you don't need permission to be excellent. Proof that walking away can be the exact moment everything starts. Cutting them off wasn't revenge. It was the day I stopped volunteering to be the punching bag. Some people are born into homes. Others build their own. I built mine one boundary at a time, one paycheck at a time, one decision at a time. Every morning when Justice wags his tail and the sun hits the bay just right, I know I made the only choice that was ever going to work. The past is 4 states away behind a door that closed 6 years ago. I never opened it again, and I never will. If you've ever had to walk away from family to protect yourself, you already know you made the right choice, even when it still hurts.